I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost.
Join us in the heart of personal transformation with Level Up Circle TV, your exclusive gateway to unlocking your inner potential and achieving extraordinary results. This TV show is your secret weapon for personal and professional development, packed with valuable insights, expert advice, and real-life success stories. Are you ready to take the leap and transform your life? Don't just watch, participate. Tune in, take notes, and then take action. The journey to your greatest self starts here. So, get inspired, get motivated, and get ready to level up. Join us and let's embark on this transformative adventure together. Click that remote and let's start making your dreams a reality. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday shows. Here are my affiliates. That was so exciting. Anyhow, here is our book, Beyond Boundaries, and this is Beyond Boundaries Corner. I have one of my amazing sister, fellow educator, amazing human being, quite honestly, and she loves to help parents and families and children and admin and teachers, right, with her business. And we're going to talk about her chapter today with Beyond Boundaries. But before I do that, I wanted to show you guys what Level Up Academy is doing. This book, Beyond Boundaries, if you go to Amazon, the only thing available right now is the Kindle version of it. And the physical book will be, I pulled it out of Amazon. And the reason being is that Amazon actually doesn't have distribution channels that I need it to be. My mission is to level up the world through education. Amazon is limited to their distribution. There's 8 billion people. I need our book to be in as many hands as possible to make an impact. So I found out Amazon's limited, maybe 10 countries. And even within those 10 countries, they're not even available at all because there are certain rules of countries that they don't allow Amazon. So when I found that out, we did research, and now I found a distribution channel all over the globe, including universities and mom and pop shops and small stores. And get this, Powell's and Barnes and Noble. So by June 15, I'm hoping that some of my brothers and sisters will come to San Diego, and we're going to have a book signing at Barnes and Nobles. Have you heard of anyone doing anthology book signing? Yeah, I haven't either. That's what my goal is, to level up everyone within Level Up Academy. And we're also providing jobs, right? Every purchase of this book, not 100% of it, but portions of it, is going to buy a plant so we can provide the future, right? We talk about a lot about legacies. Well, guess what? Part of your legacy is to take care of the environment after we're done with this lifetime, right? And what better ways than to plant trees in my co author's name? So far, we have one certificate for Crystal. We go by chapters right now. And so I have 26 more to go. There's 27 of us. And then, of course, we're giving jobs to farmers and giving back to our community. And by doing so, we're also helping 5 out of 18 goals for United Nations: quality of education, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, climate action, and of course, life on land. And you're probably wondering, well, what does 4, 10, and 11 do? Well, we also provide courses and we also do PR. And I did this thing yesterday, actually the day before yesterday until 2 a.m. And I'm like, I'm going to do a press release when this book comes out in June. We're going to do pre-sale. I'm going to do press release in Business Insider. Of course I did. So it went through. That was like a month, right? And then yesterday, someone's like, hey, CJ, you need your own newsroom and do your own press releases for journalism. Are you in the journalism associate for Washington, D.C.? I'm like, no, should I be? And they're like, well, you could if you want to. So I don't know. Myself went to do in research mode, and I did a press release. I said, oh, okay, I want to go international, so let's go United States and United Kingdom. What I didn't know, okay, I am so overwhelmed, and I don't get overwhelmed. Me thinking, oh, it's going to be 2 press releases. Great. Guys, it went to 242 press release distribution. And then I was like, wait, what? And I keep clicking the report, and my name and my press release went through everywhere: TV, Google, Yahoo, Bing, Ask, like all these big things. I was like, do I need to do anything? And she's like, no, the beauty of what you did is because of this and this. You can offer it to your clients. And I'd offer publicity for right? Because there's like thousands of magazines out there, but I do couture, meaning people that basically knows all over the world, like the Saudi Arabian news. Those are $50,000 news, right? We're talking LA Weekly, New York Weekly, Forbes magazine, International. I have CEO Weekly. I have so many of those. I was like, okay, that would be enough. Oh no. So now I have access to apparently a button that I push to over 200 distributions. So what's that mean for you guys? Press releases, you can come to me and I blast you, basically. um, it was a good mistake. How's that? Okay. Maybe because it was 2 a.m. and I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, it's a good mistake because now I can literally amplify your messages. Every single place you need to be, including television, right? Television in Nebraska. I was like, what? What do you mean? I didn't even know they have that. So it was really amazing. So let me share something. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. And when I told my sisters yesterday, they're like, CJ, it's a good thing. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing, because I'm overwhelmed with so many amazing things. But it's one of those mistakes that I definitely will learn, but it's a good one. So I'm going to show you something. Let's see if I can actually show you that. All right. So you guys are seeing it, right? I'm going to see if I can present it. So I do Business Insider for Mike because he is the CEO of Hounds of Business and founder. I do Business Insider for Jacqueline. She's local in San Diego, and she is going through a lot of her coaching here as well. And then, of course, healthy. Like, hello, he's also doing a publishing company for independent authors. So I did a business insider for him as well. And thank you so much for watching, guys. But that was my $200, I mean, not $200, but 242 mistakes that I really love, honestly, because it was crazy. But I'm still laughing about it because I was like, yeah, it's going to be like in this one magazine in UK, and then like I wanted to do education publishing as well because I know a lot of educators. We need to keep up with our publishing an anthology, or maybe we can work together on publishing your book. We do book covers, we do everything, and so yeah, yeah, I love that mistake though. I learned a lot from it for sure. So I'm actually offering that until the end of this month, the 28th. So if you have an up and coming, I can only do, okay, so let me back up. To be in a magazine, I write it differently. To be in a press release, it's a different way of writing as well. Okay, so press releases is you basically have something coming up in your business. You're offering a new product, you're offering a new service. That's when you need a press release. If you need to claim authority of your business and it's an ongoing thing, but there's nothing big happening in your company, then I can offer the claim and authority type of magazine. But press releases is something big happening, right, in your business. That's what press releases do. So I write it differently. It's about 1,000 words, which is 200 words more than regular magazines. I was like, okay, I could definitely do this. So it works. I tested it, and it's everywhere pretty much. So I love that. Now let me bring up this anthology that's coming up, guys. This is Moving Beyond Boxes and the journey to self discovery with my sister Susanna. We do pretty much everything in publishing. We're trying to make sure that your anthology with us continues on if the author chooses to. Usually, you'll have a separate a la carte when you are on TV, but when you are in our anthology, you can be on MP3. You can also do our TV show included in your bundle. And then, of course, I have a radio, the Black 105, every other Saturday. And I just found out my podcast is also on Audible. So we are also on Audible, iHeart, and Spotify. So if you want to scan that, feel free or just DM me and we'll be happy to have you on there, right? We are more concerned about your story actually making an impact in the world because we are all about legacy. Now, are you guys ready for my sister from another mister? Hello,
Hello,
sister.
hello. Hello from the East
How are
Coast.
you?
Doing well, doing well. Enjoyed your intro and listening to everything you're doing. It's just so amazing. And I've been so honored to be a part of this journey with this book. It's just been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And what's really cool is like if you and Christine decided to have your own Barnes and Noble signing with this book, you could after it's all out.
Right, right. That is so
It's
cool.
so crazy. Yeah.
We don't
I
have a
love
Barnes
it.
Noble here in my town, but we have one right near where my parents live and a bunch of my friends and everything. So who knows? We'll see.
You never know. I told them, I'm like, we got to have an East Coast and a West Coast signing somehow,
Yeah,
like
for
in case
sure.
you guys can't come in. I wanted to talk to you about your journey being a business owner, being a fellow educator, and also helping your community and how your business has evolved from the day I met you till today.
Yes, it's amazing to think that it's just been a little over a year, but so much has changed. My decision to step away from public education and become an entrepreneur on my own was not a journey I expected. A year ago, even, I probably would have said, no way, there's no way I'm going to do that. And by last August, I had just changed my mind and decided I was doing it. And I jumped in, without even thinking about it. So I've been working now as a special education advocate, and I'm supporting families of students that have IEPs or a 504 plan that are in place for some type of disability in the school setting. And the beauty of being able to work remote is that I can help people all over the country. So my clients have ranged everywhere from New York to California to Florida, which has been very, very cool.
I love that. One of our sister, I know she reached out to you. She's like, I
Yes.
need help. Who do I need help? I'm like, oh, we have somebody that you can help. That can help you do this thing. You're not alone, and that's really the beauty of it is because parents don't know what they don't know, right?
Yes.
And you are so amazing at what you do, but also when we do amazing business, but if you don't know who you are and the people don't know what you're doing, how are you supposed to help others? You can't, right?
Right.
And so I've seen you, be your own in podcast and also with Christine and of course also here. Obviously, you're always here with me, always. I love my sisters, my fellow educator, and then
Yes.
of course, with Mike's show and everyone's show. How has that been in terms of the journey?
So, funny story, CJ. When I was little, I was terrified to be in front of a camera of any kind. My mother has joked and teased me for years because of my stage fright. When I was in kindergarten, they sent me out on stage like right in the middle so that there was no chance that I would bolt off the stage. And here I am, doing these podcasts and live shows and talking so openly about advocating, which is not an easy thing to do. Speaking out against, whatever the situation may be in the school setting sometimes can be really intimidating. But having to keep in mind that everything I'm doing is for the kids and is to help better education as a whole. I would love nothing more than to see that gap between home and school really get bridged. And that's where my book with Christine came in that creating a workbook for parents to help them learn how to advocate and support their children in whatnot. But having these wonderful platforms to go on and talk about these things has led to so many opportunities and opened so many different doors within the business. One of the things that's amazing is I've been told now for a long time, I'm in the type of business that I can have a beautiful web page and it can look, wonderful, but it's really word of mouth that's going to get me my jobs because people are going to speak to, what they know of me and my character and all of that. And that's something that's really, really important to me. So putting that focus on building those relationships and continuing to let people see my authentic self. It's been just a few shows now, but I did kick off my own live show that we're now doing every other Tuesday, Advocates and Allies, and we're bringing on different kinds of guests from all over. And my goal is to hopefully circle back and have all of the different people who have hosted me on their shows come back and spend time on my show now and getting to talk about all of the things that we're all doing to help better the world.
I love that. I love that you're doing that because, like I said, nobody knows who you are. You shouldn't be a best kept secret because you need to be advocating for parents. But sometimes, if no one, if like you're so busy and you're like, okay, I need to be on this podcast and this podcast. And sometimes you only have limited time, right? Like you have 45 minutes or an hour. So I think having your own show really will kick off who you are, coming out what your messages are really all about. And that's the reason why I love teaching that class that you guys took is
Yes.
having the know-how on how to do it because sometimes it's a technical thing. You're like, I do not have time to learn this thing. I just don't.
Right.
Like, can someone just do it for me, right?
Right.
And that's good, but the problem with that is you get so dependent on people and people come and go in your life, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you need to be able to stand on your ground, and that's what I advocate for is learning the technical stuff for non-technical people. So when you do need to show up for yourself, you can do it, right?
Yeah, and your class prepared me for that from the standpoint of StreamYard is such an easy platform to use that it's made me feel confident. And I do have someone helping me with the back end, but I do feel confident that if she were not able to attend, I know what I'm doing. And that is, like you said, so critical because people get sick and things come up even when things are going well. So you just never know.
Yeah, kids, kindergarten, pickup. Like I have my kid, I'm like,
Yes.
Mom, I don't feel good. I'm like, I'm in the middle of my show. How am I gonna leave
Right.
right now? Like things happen. And so if somebody that's supporting you, like you said, gets sick, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like the show must go on, Christine, and then what are you guys doing? Well, I don't know. So that's good that you have that ability. Now let's go ahead and roll in about the book that you wrote. right? And I love your dedication, by the way. Let's talk a little bit about that book and what made you choose that certain chapter to write about.
That's a great question. I really, first of all, the topic immediately spoke to me just because life is so much of a gray zone, and there is so much that happens that doesn't fall into an absolute of yes or no. And I talk about that in my chapter, at the beginning. But one of the things that I absolutely felt very strongly about was needing to clarify for myself. I wrote to my, for myself, but also to my family and friends of what my decision was to leave education and why I made that decision the way I did, because I didn't want it to be viewed as I was abandoning education. One of the things that I took a step back and looked at was that I couldn't really feel like I was making a difference from my one little school building in my one little district in my one little state. And I wanted to have a bigger reach. So this anthology allowed me to really write about what made me make that decision to leave, but also what my goal is moving forward within education. Not only do I want to do the advocacy work that I'm doing, but our fellow sister Christine Jones and I are also working on building parenting classes for parents to help them better support their children in the home setting, whether it be with school related stuff or just regular everyday social emotional learning that kids need. There's just a lot of parents out there that want to do better and want to do as much as they can to help. They just don't know what to do. So our goal is to help those parents that are kind of pulling their hair out going, I need help. Somebody please do something to help me here. So that will be rolling out in July. And when I wrote about that in the book, our goal is not just to have a parenting class, but to really create a movement where we see change all over the country or even internationally, because I know this is not just a United States problem, where we really do bridge that gap between home and school and have more involvement from both sides. Another fellow hound, Tabitha Barron, says all the time, parent one is at home, parent two is at school, parent three is the community. And bringing those three together to remember what we're doing this for. It's all for the kids. And, getting back to remembering those little details that we tend to kind of skip over and forget sometimes.
Yeah. And what I love about what you were doing is the parent portion, right? Often the parents put their kids to school because they want them to learn, but it's not the learning that they think that their kids need, right? The teachers are there to learn for academics, not the behavior,
Right.
not the insecurities, not the all the other things. And sometimes kids are undiagnosed if they have neurodiversity and special needs. So instead, it looks like from my normal perspective that your kid is a troublemaker. Your kid is dumb. Your kid is, labeling. And the kid already feels bad about why they can't do it. And then now they're feeling even worse because it's verbalized and it's shown through action by their teachers. And then the mom's like, what is wrong with you? Right?
Right.
And they don't know. And that's when you step in, you're like, maybe it's not necessarily the kid's fault or the parents' fault, no one's fault. But maybe we can discover more by having the child be tested on something, right? How do you approach that? Because that's a sensitive topic.
Absolutely. And it's also hard to tell a parent, you're not doing something right with your parenting. A lot of times it's not, a lack of trying. It's just a lack of knowing what's best for the child. And like you said, if there's some kind of disability or special needs that's going on, that's outside of parents' realm too. There's no course that a parent takes that, they get to go to a class and find out all the things that could possibly go wrong when they're a parent. That's trial and error as they're going through it. So stepping in as an advocate and a support to parents is very difficult, but having those hard conversations, starting with the child and having conversations with the child about the behaviors that are occurring. What's going on? Why are you having these problems or these outbursts at school? And a lot of times they can't answer. They don't know, and they'll say, I don't know. So it's helping parents take that step back and look at the data from an objective point of view. collecting some information and saying, okay, what's happening right before there's an outburst or a problem, and trying to dissect what might be triggering that. So it's helping parents see that it's not them, that it's the behavior themselves that we're trying to get to the root cause of. Every behavior is a form of communication. And I try and, let parents know that right up front. Even bad behavior is a way of your child trying to tell you something, whether it's, oh, they just want attention. Yes, that's a very valid reason that children act out and do things, is to gain attention. So how can we give them the attention in a better format or a better way to help them not feel like we're singling them out?
That's so true, because people do feel like, okay, well, my mom don't care, my dad don't care, my teachers don't even care. Why should I care, right? Let me read something to you that I wrote. So I get to read everyone's story before it's out, which I love.
Yes.
And when I was reading your chapter, I read everyone's chapter and then I created a summary right after I read them. This is from the final edits, right?
Awesome.
So this is what I wrote on your chapter. I said, "The New Beginning" by Kristin Nori is a personal account of an experienced educator grappling with the challenges of public education. The narrative begins with a difficult day where the author, feeling overworked and underappreciated, faces harsh criticism from her principal regarding the execution of behavioral interventions at a staff meeting. This event occurs on a day filled with additional responsibilities due to a teacher shortage, exacerbating her stress and emotional turmoil. Now, the story highlights the immense pressures faced by educators, not just Kirsten, especially during COVID-19 pandemic, which compounded the difficulties of an already demanding profession. So my dear sister, who has spent over 25 years in special education, details the evolution of her role from primary teaching to taking on multiple responsibilities, such as mentor, counselor, and of course, interventionist. Now, feeling overwhelmed and undervalued, and after a career spanning 22 years, she contemplated leaving the profession. However, instead of leaving education entirely, she decided to address its systemic issues from outside the traditional framework. With the help of a colleague, Christine Jones, they explored innovation solutions to bridge the gap between home and school environments, emphasizing the need for collaborative efforts to enhance educational outcomes. Now, their initiative, Bridging the Educational Gap, aims to create resources and opportunities for parents and teachers to work together more effectively and efficiently. By using outside of the box thinking, they develop strategies to address nuanced needs of students, advocating for a holistic approach that involves all stakeholders in a child's education. What do you think?
Love that. And yes, you summarized exactly why I wrote what I did and what it brought out of me. The gray area of, I didn't have to make the decision to stay or go. I could still be involved without living the life that I was currently living, and stepping out of that and out of my comfort zone, really, into a situation where I didn't know how difficult it would be. I didn't know if it was going to be an easy road. I've met so many amazing people in this journey that it is just, every time I think that there's nothing else that's going to come into play, something else opens a door, or somebody else reaches out, and I meet someone new, that it just continues to spiral and grow. And I'm so blessed that our work is really turning into a true movement and mission to change the way education is viewed, because public education gets such a bad rep. And I think that, with some major changes and systemic, looking at reevaluating the way that we do things, we could see a huge growth, a huge.
Show us your book.
Absolutely, it's right behind me. So this is a copy of the book, And one of the things that we created is this Venn diagram. One of the beauties of it, we discovered that there was nothing out there that really showed the shared responsibilities between home and school. So we kind of narrowed it down to these main 5 subject areas. And then within that, we created very detailed subsets of what goes with that Venn diagram in more detail. So like, for example, community skills is not just doing, work in the community, but it's teamwork, working in groups, following directions, sportsmanship, learning right from wrong, knowing rules and norms and how to follow routines. So just so many different things that we went, wait a minute. It's not just the teacher's responsibility to teach that. It's not just the parent's responsibility to teach that. We have to come together and figure out more ways to do so. So the way that we've set the book up is by different areas where parents may need support, but each area we tell you what subset it goes with within the Venn diagram. So like very beginning, we do importance of morning and nightly routines. And down here it says what our target skill set is that social, societal, and communication skills, and then building home and routines. And then we also give parent pro tips to help make it a little easier for parents. We tried to really condense how much we wrote because we know how little time parents have. So this isn't something that should take a long time. It's something that parents can use as they need it. It's not linear. There is not a first, second, third to it. They can jump through it as they discover that there are things that they need help with. So one of the things that I think is so amazing about it is that we also included in the back for parents and students blank copies of all of the different charts that we created. So parents
I love that.
Thank you. They can cut them out, use them for whatever it might be. They also have feelings charts that are in here for students to be able to rank how they're feeling, for a younger child. And then we do have an older child version too, where instead of, giving them pictures, we are giving them words so that they, feel more validated and heard, but also learning how to process their feelings and self-regulate as part of that. The other beauty is it's a one-stop shop. There's all different pages in here where you can record data from teacher meetings and what happened, the outcome, who's responsible for what, doctor's appointments, specialists are in here. So additional notes, whatever may be, this could become just literally, something that goes to every appointment for your child with you. So that's one of the things that we just fell in love with the program. We wrote it and then went, wait a minute, we didn't just write a book, we really wrote a program. So we've now created classes to go with each of the subsets that goes with the book.
Oh, I love that, because sometimes when you write a book, that's why most people have book clubs, right? Because they want to talk about the book, like, oh my God, how about that feeling? And how about this feeling? And for you guys to create the book and said, hey, come join us. Let's talk about what you guys have found out. And that's a good way too, because if you think about it, you can change the book a reiteration of edition 2 based on the parents and the kids' feedback.
Yep.
And then on top of that, what's working and not working.
Yep.
And also get to know your customers and get to help more people.
Yes, absolutely. And we've already started talking with other people too about getting it translated, because I think one of the things that our book really could do is help a lot of students that are in English as a second language home, but we need to help the parents with that support too by giving them their home language. So that's something we're hoping to expand upon too, is get that out there in as many languages as we can with time.
Yeah, that's good. It is going to cost a lot of money because I did that on my book in 6 different languages in academic publishing. Yeah, it was like 10 grand each book, and it's like less than 60 pages.
Right.
But yeah, it gets expensive, but maybe you can collaborate. That's one thing I love about collaboration, because it's like, yes, we're not non-profit, but our goal and our mission is to help parents and kids who really truly needs it.
Yes.
You want your future to be okay, right? Like, you want your future. These are your future presidents. These are your future governor. These are your future judges. Yeah. and you want them to be emotionally unstable because they had some trauma when they were kids that we could actually have done something about. Like, are you with me so far? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah. And if you really think about that, that is the truth. And that's why I am proponent for education. It's because from the young age, I used to teach kinder, and I love kindergarten. They just say yes to everything.
Yes.
Like, I love it. When it comes to like high school, I drag my feet on high school students.
Yeah. I learned
So
quickly you
much
don't ask
attitude.
yes or no questions to them.
No, you literally don't ask questions. You actually tell them. Like, you don't ask questions. Because if you ask questions, the answer from them is always a no.
Right.
Right. So you just tell them what to do, and they're like, okay, fine, Miss Leland.
Right.
They're not happy about it, but they're still going to do it. And it really depends on the situation. So I love that you're doing that, because I actually was talking to one of our friends from the Beyond Boundaries book too, that she's doing for mental health and suicide for young adults and
Yes.
kids in high school and things like that. And so she's working on this thing, a project that she's doing. And I said, I would love to teach a class for parents with English as a second language. And the reason being is I came here as an immigrant. I didn't know how to speak English. And that was a challenge. My parents can speak English, no problem. But because I wasn't brought up with them, I wasn't comfortable asking them for help.
Right.
So I literally challenged myself to live in the library, the school library and public library. And I would put on the cassette tape, literally, okay, cassette tape, and listen to the enunciation of English, listen to what it means, listen what it, like the dictionary was my Bible. I was reading all the words to see what it means and how it means. And even then, I still, okay, funny story. I went to a restaurant with my parents, and it was Roots Chris. It's kind of fancy steakhouse, right?
Yes. Yes.
And at the end, my dad's like, "Oh, do you want some desserts and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." So the lady came in, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my daughter wanted to order something." And she's like, "Yeah, what do you want to order?" And I was like, "I want a dessert." And she looked
I
at
love
me, and she looked at my dad, and she's like, "I'm sorry, what you want?"
it.
I said, "A
Right.
dessert, those little cookie with chocolate in
Right.
them."
Oh, I
and,
love
and
it.
she's like, "Oh, you mean a dessert?" I'm like, "Yeah, exactly what I said."
That's it.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I will never forget that embarrassing moment of my life. But I was like, I know how to speak English. I want a dessert, really good food. Like,
Oh, that's
and
wonderful. I
my
love
dad, My dad had to explain, honey, desert is like in the Arab Emirates, and you have like camels. I'm like, oh, why are these things spelled the same? And my dad's like, it's the way you say it. I'm like, oh, dang Americans and their accents, like I was so mad. Yeah, that was my embarrassing moment when I said I want a desert.
it.
Yeah, with chocolate on top. So but I remember that. I laugh about it now, but I cried for days. I was so
Mhm.
embarrassed. And as a kid, that's traumatizing. And now it's like, it's so funny to me, but that was like 20 something years ago. And I still remember it. That's how traumatizing it is. But
Right.
imagine the parents who don't know how to help their kids because they also don't speak the language,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That's hard.
And I don't want them to
Yeah.
not feel like they can ask questions and get support.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that you guys are doing this. So my next question is, what is next for you guys?
So we are working now to get this class up and going. Our marketing actually is going to be kicking off this weekend in terms of us really working hard. With Christine still teaching full time, we do a lot of our work on Saturdays and Sundays. And one of the things that we're hoping to do is really start marketing and get parents signed up for this class. Our goal is to kick it off in the beginning of July, after 4th of July, of course. We're waiting until after that holiday ends because we know how chaotic and crazy it can be. But it's an 8-week course. And right now we're going to be running a special. Instead of it being $850, it's going to be $499. So we are offering a really great rate and an early bird special to get people signed up and are very excited. We already have a few people that have expressed interest, and I think it's going to be a great class. So that kicks off this summer. We also, Christine and I are working on a second book together that we're collaborating on for a specific new framework to use with children that are on the autism spectrum or neurodivergent. So that will be hopefully coming out this fall. And then in my personal business for my inclusion advocates and allies, I'm really moving in the direction of trying to get more and more clients as I'm building up, but also have people that are starting to come on board with me as contract people. So that's really exciting because there's just so much work that's out there. So other than that, I'm not really busy. I'm, keeping it low key. No, I'm doing a
You're
lot of
going to
traveling.
get some desert soon coming your
Yes,
way.
kick back and have a desert and just
It will be
relax.
chocolate though. It won't be sand, okay?
Yes, yes. It's
Oh my
I've been
God. I
traveling
can't.
quite a bit too for my job with Catapult Learning, and that has been wonderful. I'm doing a lot of professional development for teachers and coaching in schools, so that's been really exciting. I've got some coaching coming up in Maryland and in New Jersey, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah. So you work for them as a contractor to help teachers?
Yep, I do that as a part-time gig and travel around all over the country doing presentations. I also do virtual trainings. So I teach a lot of like Tuesday, Thursday nights and Saturday mornings, that kind of stuff. But lots of professional development ongoing for teachers on how to work with students on the spectrum or that have special needs, but also, just basic differentiation concepts, how to build professional learning communities, build cultural competence, understanding individual topics within education. And then the coaching that I'm doing right now is really helping teachers on how to differentiate their instruction for learners of all needs.
Yeah. And I think during COVID, more and more students are coming out with different and difficulties of learning.
Yes.
I don't know why. Somehow it just shook us. Like,
Yeah.
it
I
was
think
not, it's not like it was just born yesterday. It was there, but it wasn't out there. I don't
right.
know what happened, but COVID literally did a reset, like a reset on everyone.
It really did. And I think a big piece of what happened with that is just the mere fact that kids were home for so long and isolated on their screens that they don't know how to interact anymore. At least the kids that I'm working with, a lot of them just have lost that basic social interaction of how to interact with another human being face to face because they're so used to screen time. And I think it's very interesting. A lot of articles that I've read recently talk about how there's been an overdiagnosis of children on the spectrum. And one of the reasons that they think that may be the case is because we had so many children that were, in that 1 to 3 years old range during COVID that maybe spent more time on a screen than they typically would have, or more time alone than they typically would have isolated. And that to me is just fascinating to see how that plays out over the next several years and the longitudinal studies that, of course, we'll do as a result of COVID. But you're absolutely right. It reset schools. It just changed the whole way that we approach things. And some of that is a good thing. I think, a lot needed to change. So it started a lot of catalyst
Yeah, and
conversations.
I think it highlighted problems more than anything.
Yes.
The problem didn't
Yes.
exist during COVID. The problem existed before COVID, but it highlighted
Right.
it more. Like, for example, I used to teach for 3 or 4 different universities, and one of the university I taught was strictly for international. It was more of a liaison between this other school in Switzerland, and that school's like 100 years old, and they bought this company here in San Diego that's like more boutique. They would send their students here. They would learn Vatel certificate. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's more of like not entertainment. What is that? Like hotelier, like somebody who works in the service industry. And it was fun teaching that class and certificate because what I would teach them is about communications and paying attention and listening. I do a lot of organizational communication classes, right? And I would take them to Seaport Village and I would talk to their manager at the big, huge hotel. Like, I'm bringing in students, we want to pay attention on how your customer service does and your hotel room. And, I would talk. It was so fun. Like I would just go to hotels and bring my students in, and then we would eat and just kind of, and we would have a class in the lobby. And I
That's so
said,
cool.
okay, tell me about what you've noticed and what you would do and what would you change and what do you love. And the manager literally loved that they have someone that would do that. And then I would go to IKEA and I would take them. I said, okay, pay attention to their sales and marketing, right? Pay attention to their customer service. How do they do it? How would you do it? How would you do it differently? And that was really fun class, the Battelle certificate. But what I really found out is that the face to face and not face to face has also had that little gap, right? I do love working remote because I can help more people. But if you're not an extrovert person that seeks people for energy, it's hard.
Yes, coming from an introverted extrovert, I totally can relate to that. On Mike's show back last June when he did personality tests, I came out right at the border of introvert extrovert. And I really would define myself as someone who's more introverted, but I can be extroverted when I need to be. But it takes a lot of energy that's not something I'm used to. You're right.
Yeah.
Working from a home setting it changes your whole dynamic with that and the way you approach things.
Yeah, and it's so sad to see that some of my friends and some of my students, I teach online, they won't even turn on their camera.
Yes.
And when do presentation, they won't even do live presentation. They're like, Dr. Leland, can I just like do a video recording of myself?
Right.
And I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no because the thing is, I want their educational journey customized to them,
Yeah.
right? And I would tell the university, I think, if you want to keep and sustain your university, you're going to have to customize all of these things per student, right? If you have a rigid rules and regulations and stipulations, you will lose a lot of students
Yeah.
because of that. And that's when I move universities as well, because when the rules are so rigid, I feel like I really don't have any control or anything. And as a teacher, as a professor, you're supposed to have some type of autonomy. But when I
Right.
feel boxed in, I was like, it's not for me. I can't. And most universities won't be able to handle my crazy ideas. And that's why I created my company. So I can just do my crazy ideas on my company and then, be rigid on another class. But yeah,
Well, and
that
I
is
think
so
that's the
amazing.
beauty of being an entrepreneur is being able to be your own boss and make the rules as you go, which has been great because you're right. Education is such a round peg square hole situation where we're trying so hard to cram everybody into this box and it just people don't fit anymore, and they may never have, but we now know even more than we did before. We need to be changing the way those boxes are shaped so that we can serve more kids and get more needs met.
Yeah. Or move beyond the box, right?
Absolutely.
Like just move
Yes,
beyond the
just like
box.
Susanna says, beyond the box.
Yeah, beyond
Absolutely.
the box. I love this conversation, and thank you for being part of Beyond Boundaries. I know we've been part of a note to my family, right? As well,
Yes.
Susanna and I edited that book as well, so we worked on a lot of our books together.
Yeah.
Before that, I think I had Rattled Awake. Worked on that book cover and editing as well. So it's been a really like amazing journey. I didn't know I wanted to write that much. I actually
Right.
didn't, Yeah. And now
Well,
it's
a
like
year
I'm
ago, I
addicted
had no
to it.
books.
Yeah. Right. And you get addicted to it because it's helping other people in a different way. And you're
Yes.
leaving a legacy in a different way. But if you really think about all of our efforts, it's not about us, it's about other people who we want to help.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I love that. So before we end, dear sister,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
are some of the things that you mentioned what you guys are doing and what you are totally doing? What are some of the things that parents should say, you know what, I need to call her?
Oh, absolutely. If you're having trouble at home with behavior or self-regulating your child, having them, if they're having meltdowns at home about different things, if they're struggling with academics, you can reach me out to me. If you're having trouble with getting schools to help you with what you need, that's where I can really jump in and help advocate. Sadly, unfortunately, these days, in order to get schools to do things, sometimes having an advocate is necessary. And sometimes it's just a matter of, being present for a meeting with a parent to say, I'm here as an advocate. I try and make very clear too that I'm not a lawyer, I'm an advocate. So I'm there on behalf of the child, even more so than the parent. The parent may hear from me, I agree with the school. There are times where the school may offer exactly what I think is appropriate, and I'm not going to not agree with that because of that. So parents are going to get very true and honest feedback from me. One of the things that I work real hard to do is build those relationships so that parents know they can trust me, in terms of moving forward. But anything, that parents need in terms of supporting their child in and out of school setting really is a reason to call.
So pretty much when you need anything to help with your child and be an advocate for your child, you can call my sister here.
Yeah.
Usually when people ask me like, "Hey, this is what's happening," I'm like, "Yeah, let's get you help." Because we don't know, right? You have consult. Is your consultation free?
Yes, I do offer a free consultation. And then from there, I have a sliding scale dependent upon the case and the services that are needed, that I put together an individualized contract for a parent before they agree to services. And then from there, they can decide what they want for sure.
Amazing. So I'm going to end mine with a quote, and it's about thinking outside the box, right? So I said, follow along, don't take risks, just keep your head down and work, and you'll achieve your dreams. Said nobody.
I love that.
How about you?
I love that. That is great. I don't know if I can top that quote. Oh man, that's a tough one. I think my final parting words would be authentic and be yourself no matter what box somebody's trying to put you in. Remember who you are and be true to yourself with that.
Well, thank you so much, dear sister, for your time today. I appreciate you. And I will let you know when this will be on TV, and
Yes,
then we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you on Sunday at 7 p.m. PST. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here.